meantime, if you can post on the chat, where are you joining from? That would be nice. Let me share my screen as well again. New York, Paris. Cool, cool, cool. UK, Barcelona, Houston, everywhere. Cool. Greece, England, Leeds, Canada. We are a very international group today, no? That's quite cool. I really enjoyed this about like being able to be in such an international community. Romania, Lebanon. Nice. That's pretty cool. I hope you are as excited as I am for the next 3 days. I'm going to explain a bit. My name is Sofia. I'm an instructor here at CodeUp. I'm going to explain a bit how this is going to work. I'm going to introduce myself. Just give some couple more minutes so people can join. Netherlands, Singapore, Ghana. Cool. And do you have any coding experience, or it's your first contact? Like from 0 to 5, what has been your contact with coding? By the way, this is a really coding one, like a beginner's level, so there is no prior experience needed. 0.5, it's not nothing. First time, 2, 0. Cool, cool. 2 or 3, well, that's quite good. Probs 2, 3. Okay, so we have some people with some experience, some people with 0 experience, and like I said, there is no problem at all if you don't have any experience. This workshop, the next 3 days, though, this code challenges is beginner friendly, so it doesn't matter if you've never had any contact with code before. It's okay. Nice. Well, first of all, I did 6 weeks in data analyst, sprinted some Python. So you already have some coding experience, but like not in web development. That's cool. Well, I'm Sofia. Like I said, I am an instructor here at CodeUp. I'm from Brazil, and now I'm based in Barcelona. I had 0 coding experience until I actually did one of these workshops. I decided to transition into tech. I did one of those workshops. Like I said, I had I wanted a career change. And then CodeUp, it's an international school for women, trans and non-binary folks that our main value is to reduce the gender gap in the tech industry. And I did something very similar to this bootcamp, to this workshop that we're going to do today. And after the 3 days, I was like, I actually really like this. I really enjoy this. So I enrolled a more professional bootcamp at CodeUp as well, a full stack development bootcamp. I will explain what that is. And then I became a developer. Nowadays, I work as a developer, like as an engineer, and like building things, both backend and front end. And I also work as an instructor here at CodeUp. So I completely changed my career. I think it was the nicest thing that I did. I have 2 cats. They came from Brazil with me, and they are actually here at some point, if not today, for the following days, you're gonna see them. And I have the advantage of being able to work with them. They're my 2 assistants. They're gonna show up. They are pretty much in every single recording that I have at CodeUp. At some point, they come to say hello. So yeah, and this is the beautiful side of it. I can work with them, so that's quite nice. So how the next few days are gonna work? So this is a very hands-on workshop. We're gonna code. So the first day, the step 1 is to talk about HTML, which is today. We're gonna create a template and implement HTML on a project. Then tomorrow, we're gonna add some CSS, and I will explain what each one of those things are. I will explain how we can code this, how we can implement this. So we're gonna implement the CSS code on the CSS logic and on the code that we're gonna create today. So we're going to start a project today and you're going to finish after day 3. So we're just going to increment the project. And then finally, on the step 3, we're going to add Bootstrap to our project. And then at the end, we're gonna have like your first page. I mean, if you already had built a page, your second or third page, but you will have a page at the end of this. Now, for the project delivery, you can finalize and share on LinkedIn. This is what we would want you to do. Now, some practical things before we begin. Have you received the invitation to join the Slack channel? I'm going to talk about the Slack channel in a second, I guess. Yeah. Have you received the invitation for the Slack? No, yes, no. Okay, I do have the link here. Let me send on the chat. If you probably received with the same email that you used to join, like to sign up for the workshop. I do have it here. Copy link. I'm gonna share on the chat. There you go. And let me show you something that I want to and so basically on this invitation that we shared with you, it's for this workspace here, the CodeUp community. Like I said, CodeUp, it's this international school, but we intend to build a community. So it's not only for the workshops or for the boot camps, we also have this community. And inside of this, well, we have many, I don't know if you ever work with Slack, but it's like you have this workspace. And inside of each workspace, you have many channels. And then when you receive the invitation, there are some of them that are open, like you're going to be invited automatically. Otherwise, you can just come here and browse the channels as well. So you can see the channels that are open and you can join and then see the discussions and talk. There is one specific channel, like it's the 3 days coding challenge. And you can join this one here. And we can talk, we can discuss. We had this workshop previously, so we had people who joined this before, and they are also here. And one thing that I really, really like about the tech community itself, hey, hi, we have live actions here happening here. One of my favorite things about this industry is that we are very, very, very supportive. In CodeUp, this is even higher, it's even more. But one thing that happens very often is that we support each other. So in this channel, in this 3 days coding challenge, I would like you to post your project as we advance so you can share, people can get inspired by your code, they can take a look of what you've done. And also you can share if you have any issue, if you have any bug, if something is not working. And I'm saying this, like, post on this channel because I mean, I will keep an eye on, but I cannot, it's just me, so I cannot guarantee that I'm gonna check each one of the messages over those 3 days, but we should support each other. So maybe if you have a question of something is going wrong, you can post and your colleagues can take a look and help you find the bug. Like it's never bad to have an extra pair of eyes. And this is something very common in tech, like in coding. You share a code, you ask for help, and then sometimes someone just look at it with a fresh pair of eyes and can identify a missing bracket or something like this. So I strongly recommend you to use this channel to kind of, first, post your progress as you go. And second, ask if you have any questions. And then once we're done, I'm going to repeat this after day 3. After day 3, we will finish our project. So I encourage you to post this on LinkedIn and tag CodeUp so we can see your final projects, we can take a look at it and also share on LinkedIn. Now, what we're going to cover, we're going to talk about full stack development. I'm going to explain what this is, what's the difference between full stack, front end and back end, what are the skills that are required for this. I'm going to talk a bit about the job market for full stack developers, show some real world projects, and then you're going to focus on HTML. And like I said, this is very hands-on. The idea is that at the end of this, you have a project. At the end of those 3 days, you're going to have a project. So we're going to start coding. You finish the code today. Tomorrow, we're going to work on top of the code that we built today. So this is very important. And that you finish, like, if you want to code along with me, this is being recorded. We're going to share the link with you, the YouTube video with you afterwards. But that's it. So you could do after. But if you want to code along with me, you should finish the code for today before the next session tomorrow. Now I have the chat and the Q&A open here, so feel free to ask any question that you might have as we go. I'm gonna read them and then answer as we go. I'm gonna stop and then answer as we go. So feel free to post anything. Now, the first things first, the difference between full stack, front end, and back end. We are talking about web development. Okay, it's like. And even if you don't want to become a web developer, it's kind of good to have an understanding of how things work, because everything it's like our lives and most of the things that we do, like we are live, like everything it's online, it's on the web. So it's important that we have at least an understanding of how things work. Sometimes you don't need to be a developer, but sometimes the skills can come handy, you know, if you need to do something, a small repair or just understanding something, or if you want to give some maintenance on your page that someone built for you, or if you want to create a low code page, but it will be a lot easier if you have some understanding, or if you're looking for a transition into become like into tech and you want to become a developer. So the differences, full stack, front end and back end. Basically, imagine that you are in a restaurant, okay? And we have the customers that in tech is like, it's the final user. So it's the person like who opened the website or the application and use. And in a restaurant, the customer just gets to the restaurant and say, hey, I want, I'm going to look at the menu and I'm going to say, I want this, like a burger, a fries, and a like something like this. I'm going to ask this to someone, to a waiter, for example. They're going to take my request, they're going to take notes of my order. Okay, you want this, this, and this. And then it goes to the kitchen and say, hey, I need those 3 things. The kitchen will grab the request, say, okay, I have those 3 requests here. And then it will go to the fridge, it will grab all the ingredients that are needed, it will prepare the meal, and then it will give what was asked. And then the waiter is gonna get the meal and then deliver it to the customer. If something happened, for example, oh, okay, we ran out of this dish, so today we don't have this dish, the chef will just say, hey, we don't have this dish for today. I'm still gonna give you an answer, you know, like we don't do this, we don't have this dish. Or I will give you the final dish. So this analogy, it's perfect for the code. It's pretty much the same thing when we code. The customer is the final user, like I said. The waiter is the front-end developer. The front-end developer will design, we will create everything that you see. So like the menu, for example, everything that you see, everything that the user interacts with, it's built by the front-end developer. For example, if you open, I don't know, your a profile, like a personal account in anything, like your Google account, I don't know, and you can see first thing that you need to do, you need to log in and then you go to your profile. Everything that you see, like the form with the input and with this image that it's placed here, a button that you click and takes you there, all of this is designed by the front-end developer. It's created by the front-end. The logic as well is created by the front-end developer. Not only this, but also, for example, when you log in, I'm going to grab all your information. I'm going to send to the backend. The backend, I'm going to explain the backend in a second. I'm going to grab like your username and your password. I'm going to send to the backend. If the backend says, okay, this person like the password is correct and so on. I'm going to take you to your page. I'm going to request all of your data. Like, okay, please give me all the information from Sophia, and I'm going to display it like this. All of this is the front-end developer. So the logic, the design, like the placement of everything that the users see and interact with, it's responsibility of the front-end developer. Now, the back-end developer will handle the behind the scenes. So the backend developer will process the request and send the response. The backend developer, we have the data, which is one of the most important things. Everything that it's related to the data, it's stored in a database, for example. For example, my user information, my personal information. And then the backend developer will receive the request, for example, hey, take a look if this person, this person is passing me this email, Sophia, and this password. The backend will say, okay, you want me to check if this person is who they say it is. I'm going to check. I'm going to process this request, and then I'll give you a response. It is the person who says it is, or it isn't. And then the front end will handle all of this, like we'll send the information and receive the response, and then do something and give the user some information back. The backend will take care of the data, which in this case, it's all the ingredients, and it will prepare everything according to the requests. So that's basically the difference between the front end and the backend. In this example of the login that I mentioned, for example, the backend will handle all the sensitive information and things, for example, like encrypting the password, verifying if it's the correct password. And if it is saying, yes, this person, it is who they say it is. And then the front end will send a new request, say, then give me Sophia's data. And then the backend will send just my data, not from someone else, but just mine. And this is the responsibility of the backend. So here are some of the front-end versus backend technologies. On the front-end side, we're gonna use HTML and CSS, which is two of the things that we're gonna cover. There are I'm gonna talk about HTML in a minute, but there's no page that you can open today that is not built with HTML. All of them are built with HTML. And then JavaScript. JavaScript, it can be a programming language. It doesn't necessarily need to be JavaScript, but over 95% of the modern web pages are built with this specific programming language. So this is why we put this one here. So this is what it runs, and then the users see on their browser. On the backend side, you're going to have a web framework. There are choosing programming language. Usually we can have multiple. It could be Ruby on Rails, C++, C#, Java. It can be built with the same programming language. We can also have a backend with JavaScript, which is great. We have the database, which is where we store our data. We have the web server that it's going to provide and handle the request, the operation system, and all this combination, this runs in a server. So you don't, the final user don't see it. Now, the full stack developer, it's a combination of both. It's you can do both the front end and the back end. And this actually was the bootcamp that I did to transition into tech. So I'm a full stack developer. I can do both the back end and the front end. So it's basically it. And this it's one of the bootcamps that CodeUp has. We do have a data science and data analytics and full stack development. And then the thing is that the programming language of the backend that we use is JavaScript, so we can use the same programming language for both things. So that's kind of it. The front end will focus on the layout, animation, content, organization, navigation, graphics, everything that the user will see, and also all this information handling, like what send the request and receive the response from the backend, all this communication as well. And then the backend will focus on building code, debugging, database management, controlling the data, and also handling security and handling this this requests. This is an average of the salaries around the world, the full stack developer salaries around the world. This is not neither senior level or entry level, so it's an average. So you can see here, just so you can have an idea. So in the US, it's around $100 per year. In Germany, it's 60,000 euro. And then here you have some values just so you can have an idea. So in India is an average of $8,000, and then you have everything in dollars here, so you can compare. You can have a better average. Like I said, it's an average. It depends on the country. It depends on the company. Obviously, this is just so you can have a rough idea of how much money you can make as a developer. Not bad. And well, like I said, we're based in Europe. So here are some salaries by European city. So for example, Amsterdam, this is also the average, not senior, not entry level. So here we can have some ideas of how much is it, and then which one pays better. Now, this, I'm going to actually share this with you. Let me remove the sound. Let me see. I'm going to copy the video URL. I'm just going to briefly explain to you what you're seeing here, but I'm going to share the video so you can watch it later. It's a final project of the Full Stack Development Bootcamp from one group. Like when you do the Full Stack Development Bootcamp, you have the lecture phase and then you have the project phase. In the project phase, you build 3 different projects, and this is the presentation of the final project of one specific group. So this was developed by a group. I don't remember if 3 or 4 person. So basically this app, it's an app that they build to share things. So you could rent. So you can see that there is a lot of user feedback. For example, if you add something, there is filter. You can search things from the category, the location. You can search for keyword, and then you can request something. You can have like a live chat, which is a really cool feature to develop. It's super nice. And then you have the calendar, you can request things, you can talk to the person and all this. So this was built as the final project of the bootcamp, which is actually quite cool. One question, which requires constant and more maintenance? Front-end versus back-end side after deployment. It really depends on the size of your application and what the application is about. I mean, because they are both connected, so they both need to be constantly being handled. Like if you have packages, dependencies, you need to constantly update those to avoid security issues, or to avoid like things being outdated. So it's hard to give you an answer because it will depend on the size and the type of your application. Both of them require maintenance. If it's something very static, maybe no, it's very low maintenance, you know? If it's something that like maybe you post a portfolio, it could be very low maintenance. But if you have a live application with many new things and a lot of packages and a lot of dependencies, it will require more. So it depends on the size of the backend and your front end. It's a broad question, sorry. Okay, so this is the project, so you can have an idea of the cool things that you can build. And this was all built, I guess, in like 2 weeks, which is quite cool. Okay, now enough of this introduction. If you have any other question related to this, please put it in the chat. I hope I could answer. Well, I didn't really answer your question about deployment maintenance, but it is like kind of really, it depends. Now let's start talking about HTML. What it is first, it's basically, like I said, the standard language for creating web pages. It's a language of marks. It's not a programming languages. So you're going to create some markup. It's what we call a markup language. Like I said, there is no, if you open any page that you open right now, it will be built with HTML. There's no web page that you can open without this. So this is very basic, and we need to know this. By the way, on this workshop, we are only focusing on the front end side. Okay, we're not going to do anything on the back end. We're just going to focus on the front end because you can build a page with your front end skills. And we also not going to focus on programming language. And the reason, I'm going to explain the reason why in a second. I guess I don't have okay. The reason why is because when you open a page, you're going to see a combination of three things: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Those are the three things that we had on the list of the front end. The HTML, it's responsible for all the content that you see. The CSS that we're going to start learning tomorrow, it's responsible for styling this HTML because the HTML is there. But trust me, it looks awful without CSS. And then finally, the JavaScript, the programming language, will allow the interaction of the user with the page. Now, this last bit, we're not going to focus today because it is possible to build a page without JavaScript. Those pages are called static, just HTML and CSS. And this is what we're going to build today, your first page or second. But it's impossible to build a page with just JavaScript and no HTML. Well, and CSS, it's possible, but it's just going to look very bad. So we're going to focus on HTML and CSS, building our first front-end page. And again, at the end, if you have more curiosity about backend or about the bootcamp or about full stack development, we can talk more about this. But let's start with the first things first. Going back to, that's why we're going to start with HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and hypertext means that it's not only text, we can add images, videos, sounds, and a lot of other things apart from a regular text. And like I said, it describes the structure of a page and not its appearance. I will show you some examples. Now, one thing about code in general is that whenever we are writing something, regardless of being a programming language or mark language, it doesn't matter. Every language has a specific syntax. And basically, code, it's just give instructions to your computer. It's just basically saying, hey, computer, please do this. And then the computer will compile the instruction that you gave, and it will give you a result. That's basically what it is. Now, the thing is, for the computer to be able to process this information, you need to write in a very specific way. But I mean, it's like when you are learning a new language. For example, my native language is Portuguese, but if I want to learn, for example, and I do want to learn Arabic, I need to learn the alphabet first because it's a different alphabet. So if I don't write with the correct alphabet, I mean, how people can understand me? It's impossible. So you need to write following the rules and the syntax rules of that specific language. And when you code, it's the same thing. Now in HTML, we're gonna write the code of HTML using something called tags. That's the base of HTML. We're gonna create elements in HTML with those tags. Those tags, they usually go in pairs. And you're gonna see they're like this. We always use the angle brackets for this. You can call it greater than and smaller than. I'm just gonna call them angle brackets. Also, because I never remember, I need to think before. Smaller than, greater than. Yeah, you see, not the best option for teaching. So we're just gonna use these angle brackets. And inside of the angle brackets, we have the opening tag, and this is the name of the tag, okay? I'm gonna explain a bit better. So for example, this is the P tag, and then we have the closing tag. So because they usually go in pairs, it's like opening and closing. And the closing, it's very, very similar, the same angle brackets, the same name of the tag, but before of the name of the tag, we have this bar in front of it, like the slash. And like everything in life, some tags, like there are exceptions, and some tags do not accept any content. So we close them in the same opening tag. So we just have the angle brackets, the name of the tag, and before the second bracket, we just add the slash. We're gonna have a chance to use both of them, okay? Like one that doesn't accept, don't need the closing tag, and many of them that will need. So we're gonna do this. So we always need to use this. This is how it works. Again, the angle bracket, and then in between the brackets, the tag name, it's the opening tag. The closing tag with the angle bracket, / and the tag name, this is the closing tag. The thing that go in between the opening and the closing one, it's some content. We call it content. Okay, so this is the content of your tag. And all this together, it's an HTML element. Here's an example. If we use the P, which is a valid tag, the P stands for paragraph. It's the paragraph tag. If we use angle bracket P, angle bracket / P, and then in between we write this is a paragraph, this will create in our page a paragraph that say, this is a paragraph. So this is the combination of those three things are an HTML element. I think I have it. Periodic, yes, I do have it. I'm gonna share this with you as well. This, the nerd Sophia that loves chemistry, I was really, really happy the first time I saw this. This is like a periodical table with the HTML tags. So those tags, they are preset. You cannot really use whatever name you want. You need to use a name that exists. Whenever you can create something that you can choose a name, I will let you know, okay? But here you can see that you even have some filters, like they are divided by what they mean. So for example, content sectioning, the text content. So here you're gonna see our paragraph or P. So you can take a look here. Then you can have forms, interactive elements, for example, the form, the input, the label. Like you have many options here. Where's the one that I wanted to show you? Doesn't matter. There's buttons, lists, loads of things. So these are some of the examples of tags that you can use. Will we receive access to watch the recording again? Yes, you will. By the way, you're gonna receive a link with the recording on the same email that you used to log in today. So keep an eye on. Okay. So basically, let me show you actually how this really looks like. Remember that I said that when we open a page, you can see a combination of three things: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And that code is just the computer processing some information, some orders that you did, or you say, please do this. The computer will read this information, compile, and give you an output. Now, if we want to code, we need to be able to have a platform where we can write our code. We need to be able to compile this code and see the final result. Now, to make our lives easier for this workshop, we're going to use CodePen, which is a really, really, really cool platform. I'm going to share this with you. This is where we're going to write our code. You have the option to just start coding without logging in, which I don't recommend. Actually, I don't think this is a good option, because when you log in, and you can do this with your Google account, you can save your progress. And like I said, we're gonna need what we create today for tomorrow. And you can also share your work with other people. So you can share the link on Slack, for example, so we can see it, or if you have any question. And I also can share my code with you. So when you go to CodePen, there is this pen option here. So I'm just gonna click here, and this will create probably yours. It's gonna be like this. So you're gonna see the combination of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So CodePen, it's this magical platform that will allow us to write our code. It will compile the code for us, and it will show us the result all here without needing to install like 0 things. And you can access from any computer and continue working. So it's really, really cool. So here it's our space to write our HTML code. Here's the space to write our CSS code and our JavaScript code that we're not going to use. for now. And down here, it's our page. It's our website, the compilation of our code being displayed in a page. So for example, if I create a tag, open angle brackets P, angle brackets /P, and I write, this is a paragraph. There you go. That's it. This is HTML, compiling my code, adding this to my page. You have your first paragraph written. Well done. Let me see if I can do this. I don't know if Zoom has this option. No, I don't. Let me see. Reactions. It should have. Doesn't matter. Now, if I want to create a different result, like if I want to use a different tag, there's another one, for example, which is the H. We have from H1 to H6. I'm going to open and close straight away. And this is my advice to you. And I say this, please pay attention with all your heart. Anything that needs to be open and closed, you open and close before doing anything else. Before looking at your cat, before grabbing a glass of water, before writing the content, before blinking. Because if you don't open and close, this can crash your code and you can spend hours searching for a bracket, for a missing bracket. I've been there many times. Now, the H, it's a tag that stands for heading. It goes from 1 to 6. The bigger the number, the smaller the heading. So H1, it's the biggest heading that we have with HTML tags. So if I write, this is a heading, you're going to see that this will compile and we have a heading. And just by using a different tag, I also have a different result. It's bold, it's bigger, so it's different. And now this also shows me a second thing. Like in my head, if I'm writing like a heading and a paragraph in a page, the heading should come before, right? Like the header should be above the paragraph. Now, one very important thing about HTML is that it reads the code from top to bottom, and it will print on your page following this order. So whatever comes first gets displayed on your page first. So if I want to swap and if I want to have the heading before the paragraph, it needs to be before all my code as well, like this. And if I do this, it takes a while because, like I said, CodePen, it's compiling everything, and that's it. This line of code that it's not being used, it's just ignored by the computer. If I remove it, it doesn't make any difference. This doesn't add anything to our page. And this is how we create HTML elements, as simple as is, just this. Now, another thing that is very important on HTML, it's something called attributes, HTML attributes. They will allow us to target and manipulate specific HTML elements. Because we're gonna need this, okay? Sometimes we need to give instructions to the elements, and sometimes we just need to target these elements. For example, when we start to style those elements, we will need the attributes. And some of the tags, they need some default, we need to pass the attributes. When we start coding, it's gonna be a bit clear. But whenever we add these attributes, because we want to manipulate those elements, we want to be able to say, go here, go there, do this, do that. We always gonna add the attributes inside of the opening tag, inside of the angle brackets, not on the closing tag, not on the content, inside of the angle brackets of the opening tag. This is an attribute. Does using uppercase, lowercase matter with HTML? Yes, for example, if you're writing the P, you shouldn't write with a capital P. It needs to be small letters. Now, if you're creating the name, which I'm going to explain right now, it doesn't. Like for the things, it's case sensitive. I mean, I think it would compile, maybe. We can always try. Yeah, it is case. I think this is CodePen fixing things behind the scene, but it's not ideal, okay? You can still write, but it's not ideal. It can crash in other moments. It can crash when you search for that. You have search, sorry, engines that, for example, check for the heading to see for when you Google something, they could read the H1. Thanks. They can read the H1, so it's not ideal. Don't use the uppercase for it. In some cases, might crash. CodePen, it's not crashing because sometimes they have some compilers for us, but it's not recommended. Okay, going back to the attributes. Like I said, the attributes are added inside of the angle brackets, and the attributes will always be a combination of what we call key and value, or it's an equality. So you have something on the left side, it's equal, something on the right side. On the left side, we're going to have the name of the attribute that we're going to add. And here we cannot choose. We need to use the attributes that exist on HTML. So in this case, I am adding the class attribute. Then it's equal sign, and then in between quotes, I'm going to pass the value that I want. This I can choose. I can pass whatever value that I want. So in this case, I'm giving this paragraph a class with the value of fruits. That means that whenever I say, hey, HTML, please give me the element with the class fruits, this paragraph will answer back to me. Am I right in saying that HTML looks fairly similar to SQL? I wouldn't say so, because the idea, like SQL, it's a programming language to manipulate data in a database. So it's more like you're going to work with insert statements. It's very data, you're going to manipulate data. You're going to talk with tables. You're going to say, hey, I want this information from this table and this. Whereas in HTML, it's more like I'm going to create the content. Both of them have a specific syntax that you need to follow. For example, the HTML, you need the tags. And in SQL, you need to follow the specific statements to access the data in that database. So they not only handle different things. For example, HTML will create elements for displaying on a web page, and SQL will manipulate data in a database, but the syntax, it's also a bit there. It's different. SQL, it's more like question-based and big database. Yeah, it's very related to database manipulation, SQL, whereas HTML, it's web pages creation. And this is that. What we use look like SQL, but in different, like. Our classes always with the paragraph tag. Now, good question. Let's talk about the classes. The class, it's an attribute that you can use in any like tag. You can always give it a class to it. It doesn't need to be just for paragraphs or anything. Now, the coolest thing about classes is that I can have the same class for different elements. So I can give. For someone just said, I'm not sure I understand what an attribute actually is. Bear with me. I'm going to continue talking a bit more about this. And then once I finish the explanation about attributes, you let me know. So the class, we're going to give it a class to this tag. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to give this class fruit. And then I can give the same class. So the syntax is the same. Class, it's equal, quotes, fruits, same syntax. Inside of the angle brackets of the opening tag. And then now, whenever I say, please give me the element with the class fruits, those two elements will answer back to me. So in this sense, the attribute will allow me to target, and then I can do things. For example, I can say, hey, paint this in blue if I want to target and style them. Put them on the right side of my screen. I need to say, I want to do this to this specific element. For example, why I have this in blue and this in black, you know, like, why do I have this piece of code? Okay, this is a slide, but we actually have a slide that we create with code. How do we do this in, how do you, if you have two paragraphs in a page, why one is red and the other one is black? You need to specifically say, I want this to be red and this to be black. And the attributes, it's one way of doing this. You need to access that specific element. There's one thing very important that some computers are super smart, okay? Like very smart. They can compile things in incredible speed and so on. But they cannot assume anything. We humans, we can assume a lot of things. We take things for granted, we know it. If I ask you for a glass of water, I don't need you to say, hey, please open the cupboard and grab a glass and pour the water inside of it. You just assume that this is how it needs to be done. But the computer don't assume anything. If you're not very specific, it cannot do it. So if you want to manipulate a specific element, you're going to use the attribute to say, I want this element here. This is what an attribute is for. Now, in this example, the class, it's an attribute that we can give to many different elements. And if I call for the element with the class fruits, both of the apple and the orange will answer back to me. But if at some points I want to have, I want to make sure that only one specific element will answer back. I want to make sure that when I call this, no other element can answer. And then for this, I have another attribute that is called the ID. And then you can see that the syntax is the same. On the left side, it's the name of the attribute, in this case, ID, and then equal sign, and then in between the quotes, the value that I want to give. So I'm giving the value favorite for this ID. From this moment on, no other element in my code can have an ID of favorite. It is forbidden. I can't have two elements with the same ID. And I know for a fact that whenever I ask HTML, please give me the element with the ID favorite, only this paragraph page will answer back to me. I hope that makes a bit more sense. There are more use cases for attributes. I'm going to cover them while we live code today, and I hope it makes more sense, but please let me know if it still don't. And then I said, walk through the cupboard, reach your hand out, open the cupboard with your hand, and so on. Yes, this is how you talk to a computer. The more specific, the better. Now, there's other very important things in HTML, which are called the containers. The containers, they group things. They don't display anything. They don't have semantic value or anything like this. Just like in real life, a container, it's a container. You put things inside, and then you can move them all at once. You can store them all at once. You can manipulate them all at once. And remember, is this recorded? I missed the first half an hour. Yes, this is recorded, and we haven't started the live coding yet. So you can watch the recording for the first half an hour later. So remember when I said that, remember this, okay? HTML, we have the opening tag, the closing tag, and everything that goes in between is the content. For containers, is the same thing. I have the opening tag. This is one of the containers. It's called div. From it's not division. It's I never remember. It's for a section. It's a specific section. We have this div, which is I never remember. Well, I will Google this once we move to another screen. I just call it div. Dividiera. I could use dividiera, could make sense in my head, okay? I'm thinking in Portuguese. Divisão, divider. It could be something like this. Dividieras, yes. Yes, it divides a division or a section. It will create a section on your page. But the div, it's one of the most used containers. Again, angle brackets, div, angle brackets, /div. That means that this is the opening tag. This is the closing tag. So everything division, thanks. Thanks very much for all of you Googling and doing side things for me. I appreciate this. Everything that it's in between the opening and the closing tag, it's the element content. So in this example, those 3 paragraphs are the content of this container. And I can also give a class to my container. So answering someone who asked me before, the class is just for paragraphs? No, I can give a class. So class equals sign, quotes, shopping basket to my container. And then I can manipulate all the container at once, because if I say, please give me the element with the class shopping basket, I can, with one command, manipulate the 3 paragraphs without needing to access them individually. So it is very, very, very handy. And we're going to see this, especially tomorrow. We're going to use this a lot. Now, in terms of best practices in naming things, we never use space. You don't separate the words. You always use this is a dash. You always use the dash. Don't use special characters like the star or hash for naming the attributes. Don't start with numbers. Avoid numbers, actually. And we don't really use uppercase. Small case with the dash for word separation, that's it. And no special characters. Okay, enough of me talking. Let's code. It's way more fun for those who don't have the CodePen link. This is it. Can you not just use space for word separation? No, you can't. It needs to be the dash, because otherwise after you're gonna have issues. So don't. For word separation, you use the dash. Okay, so the idea of this what we're gonna build today, let's build something like a welcome page to, I don't know, to my city. I'm gonna talk about me, and then I'm gonna talk about where I'm from, something like this, okay? This is the idea for today. And I'm gonna start creating a section about me, and then we can talk about a few things, and then we create an introduction section to talk about my city, and then I'm gonna create a nav bar. I'm gonna create all the HTML today, and we're gonna style it tomorrow. So I'm gonna put this here, move this. We're gonna not really use the CSS today. Excuse me for 1 second. Sorry, quick emergency. Look, we have some special guests. I am finding, wait. I'm finding to get sentences on new lines in CodeUp. I'm having to put both P and class at the beginning. Is that right? Well, if I want a new line and class something. So Chantal, make sure that you have a space between the P and the class. Yes, the first assistant is here, the other one is still sleeping. And I'm finding hard to get sentences on new lines in code. I'm having to put both P and class at the beginning, is that right? Yes, Chantal, make sure that you have the space if you do P, and then you do class. And then make sure that you have the closing tag with the /, okay? Now, I'm gonna delete this, and I'm gonna start from scratch. The first thing that I'm gonna do if Anouk allows me, is I'm going to create a section or a division for my About Me section. I'm going to create a section just about myself, and then a section about my city, and then something like this, okay? So if I want to create a section and to make my life easier in the future, I'm going to start creating a container for it. So angle brackets div, angle brackets / div, cat for everywhere. And then in between, you can see that, you can see that I have some, you can see that my cursor, it's a bit to the left. It's not super to the, sorry, it's a bit to the right. It's not very at the left. This is something called white. Do space, or I don't need to do space. It's one tab or two spaces. This is indentation. Sorry, I forgot the word for 1 second. This is called indentation. It's just two spaces or a tab. This is just for human readability. Indentation has no purpose for the computer. The computer can compile everything without this, okay? It's just that if I create an H1 inside of this paragraph, so angle bracket H1, angle bracket / H1, and I do about me, you can, just by looking at it, you can see that this H1, it's inside of this container. It's one better than the other. No, it's exactly the same distance. The two spaces are, when you're coding, it's equivalent to one tab. So it doesn't really matter. It will get you to the same place. So this, it's for when I look at my code, I can find it better. And this is because why we actually write code for humans, because you're gonna go back to your code at some point, and it will be good for you to understand what you did. I also been there, like going back to my code and like, what's this? What's going on here? And taking me a while. And before C, my HTML was disgusting. And it's good for you to make it easier for other people to read. This is what, for example, you can go back to your code afterwards, but you can also work in collaboration, which is the most common thing, that someone else will look at your code and will need to understand what you have done. So indentation helps on this. It's just for human readability. Okay, so we have this about me. I'm gonna actually, instead of writing about me, I'm just gonna write, hi, I'm Sophia. And then I can create, for example, H2. So angle bracket H2, angle bracket / H2, close it. And I can say that I'm a web developer. Something like this. And then finally, I could have a paragraph. So angle brackets P, angle bracket / P. If you hit enter in the middle, it will give you the indentation. You can see. You can write something here, okay? On your page, write something cool. I'm just gonna write some random text. So I'm just gonna write lorem, which is dummy text, lorem ipsum. If I write lorem and hit tab, this will complete with some random text for me. I'm just gonna do this because I'm not gonna talk about myself here for too long. No one that's interested in this, you just want to learn how to code. But in your page, write something nicer, because when you share, I actually go there and I read and I learn a lot of cool things about different cities, and it's nice to get to know you a bit better. Okay, so for example, this could be my section, and maybe it would actually be cool to have like an image. Like before the I'm Sophia, it could have like, I would like to have the image first, and then the writing, the rest of the things. There is one page that it's called, this is lorem ipsum, it's dummy text. There is one page called Pixum. 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 which is lorem ipsum, a random image that you can get. So to get a square image, you can just do pixum.photos, for example, and you can get it. Or if you want to get to a specific size and width, I'm just going to copy this, okay? I'm going to get this image here. Now, I want to add an image to my page. Anouk, do you want to add an image to my page? So basically, I want to say, hey, HTML, let's add an image. And there's a specific tag for image. I'm going to add, I want it to be before the hi, I'm Sophia. So it means that I need to write on the above line. Hello, how to put numbers of lines at the beginning of each line? You mean this lines here, 1, 2, 3. This is the code editor that will do this for you. This one here on the side, it's from CodePen. Each code editor will do this for you. I think this is your question. Let me know if it's not. But it's not us. It's the platform that you are using. Yes. Okay, cool. Now, there is one specific tag. Anouk, it's showering and pushing me to the side in the middle of the workshop. Great. Okay. There is one specific tag for this, which is the IMG. Now, the image tag, IMG stands for image. The image tag, it's one of those tags that doesn't accept any content. So we don't have opening and closing tag. So we're going to give a space after the IMG, and we're going to auto close the image tag. So it's angle brackets, IMG /. That's it. She had enough. You want to go down? Okay. Now, I'm just saying, okay, please add the image. And HTML, it's super cool. It's just going to say, yeah, sure. Whoever has cats, you know that this is the deal. You know, you have to open and close the door as many times as they want. Now, HTML is going to say, yeah, sure, I can add the image for you. Where is the image? Of course, I'm here to serve them. But they are so nice, like so cool. Then I need to say, where does image come from? You know, okay, what is the source of the image that you want me to put to your page? Give me more information. Where does this image live? So every single time that we use the IMG tag, there is one specific attribute, because the attribute can allow you to target the element and also manipulate and add information. So every single time that you use the IMG tag, you need to use one attribute called SRC, which stands for source. So this is one other way to use the attributes. There are some tags that has to be used with specific attributes. And remember, the syntax for the attribute is the name of the attribute, $, and then the value that we want to give in between the quotes. Now, this in between the quotes, it's the source of the image that we want to add. And the source of the image, it's actually this one here. This is what I want to add. So if I actually put it here, you're going to see that it's just a picture. If you want to go, if you go to Google, if you just Google, I don't know, if you go to images, for example, and if you want to use some specific image or whatever, you can right click, and then there are two options. I'm running out of battery. There are two options. You have the copy image and the copy image address. If you want to do this, you need to copy the image address, not the image itself, okay? And if you want to make sure that you're copying the correct thing, you can paste and it will open the image here. And then you copy the image address. So here in this Pixum, I'm going to share this, this with you. This is the image address. Can we use image from social media like Instagram? You need to check if Instagram will allow you this and give you a URL. For example, if you have a private page, probably not. And I don't know the security rules from Instagram. So you need to test. See if they give you a URL, image path, and test. This is the image path. So I'm just the image address. And then the moment I paste the image in between the quotes of the source attribute, I have an image on my page. That's how easy it is. It's like, hey, HTML, please add an image here. I'll give you the source. In between the quotes, I will pass the URL, and boom, that's it. We have an image in our page. Sorry, how do you change the size of your image again to make them square? This I haven't done. I didn't do this on my project. I'm just using this option from this picture generator. And Pixum tells me that if I add this /200, it will give me a square image. If you add like /300, like for example, after this, something like this, you get a portrait size, okay? Can you use image saved on your computer? Yes, you can. To use images, by the way, Pixum, it's random. Every single time I save, it will get a new image, okay? That's why my image is changing. Because in this, every single time I click this, it will give me a different image, okay? So it's really random. That's why in my case, it's gonna change. Now, use the images saved on your computer. Yes, you can use the image that are saved in your computer. All that you need to do is that in the source of your image, you're gonna need to pass the path from the file that you are writing your code, like the HTML file, until where the image lives. With that being said, in the free version of CodePen, you cannot do this. So for this project, we're just gonna use URL. In the paid version, you can upload your image to the folder of your project and then just pass the path until that. The syntax is the same. It's src equal and quotes, and then you pass the path until the image. But in the free version of CodePen, we cannot do this. Can you use image? Okay. Is there a way to make it smaller? Yes, there is a way to make it smaller. And for this, you're going to need CSS. I'm going to cover this. I can give you a small taste of it, but I'm going to cover this tomorrow. We're going to actually style this image, make it smaller and so on after. But okay, this is what I want to do for the About Me section. That's it. What else I want to do for this? I want to... Maybe I want to create just like a nav bar as well to use it later. And a section that says, I don't know, welcome to my city, welcome to Belo Horizonte, or something like this. So I'm going to create 2 more sections, but I want them both to be on top of my About Me. I don't want to begin my page with the About Me. So I'm going to create another div, another container here. So div, angle bracket div, if I can write it properly, there you go. And this is going to be my introduction section. I'm just going to add the H1 for this. H1, angle bracket H1. Any questions so far? If you were, I'm going to talk about the make smaller. And if you're doing, like, if you finish this, are you good? I'll take this as a no. Moving forward, all good. So I'm just gonna do welcome to Belo Horizonte. This is my city, by the way. I'm gonna leave this here because my idea is to have an introduction section that say, welcome, this is my city, this is me, this is what I do, like I'm a web developer. And then I'm gonna have a nav bar. If I have one header, then can I use H and not H1, right? No, you can't, because the H tag, it's H1 or H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. You need to pick one. So you need to do H and the number that goes from 1 to 6. So this is what I want to do. And then we're gonna add more things with CSS. And then on the third day with Bootstrap, I'm also gonna show you a couple of things different and how to add more information about your city and so on and so forth. So the last thing that I'm just gonna leave this so we can style this tomorrow. And I want to create a navigation bar. You know, it's a bar that will allow me to navigate through my project. So I'm going to create yet another div. And actually, this could be a different container. I'm going to create a nav container. This is also nav. It's also a container that's specifically used to create navigation bar. A navigation bar, it's basically a section with some useful links that allow the user to navigate in the page or go like with useful links. It can take you to another page or navigate through your own section, your own page. Why didn't we start with HTML and body tags? Good question. Every time that we create an HTML document, the HTML, I can show you this. Let me show you one thing, okay? If you right-click in any page, and if you go to inspect, you're gonna see here in the element section that you have a lot of things. This is the entire HTML of the page, okay? And then you can see that you have a div, you have section, you have a header, and then inside of the section you have a div and another div and another div. We use a lot of divs. And then more things and so on and so forth. And an image, for example, with a source. You can have a lot of things. Now, can you see that every single time that we create a HTML document, we're going to have this HTML tag, and then we have a head and a body. This is the structure of an HTML document. But remember that I said that we are doing a lot of things like CodePen, it's handling a lot of things for us. It's important to compile the page so we can create a new page. But CodePen is doing all this for us. So all that we need to write, it's the body content. So everything that we are creating in this part here, it's being injected in the body of the content, it's being printed here. Basically, all those other things, if we are writing in our own code editor, we would need to do. But CodePen, it's being kind enough to handle all this for us. And now you can go around and inspecting everything. Just right click and go to inspect and you can see loads of things. And you can even mess up with things. For example, you can come here, for example, and right click and say, override the values. And now it's Sophia. Obviously, the moment I refresh the page, this is gonna be updated. I'm not changing it for good, but you can play around with it. What are the code writers or code helpers generally used in the industry? Does everyone use CodePen? CodePen, it's more of a playground that you can write. You have a code, each developer, you can have your own code editor. Like, for example, I use one called Visual Studio Code is to write my own code. If you want to use a platform to write your code, you can use CodePen, you can use Code Sandbox, but there are other code editors as well. But you still need a way to compile your code. It's like, for example, Visual Studio Code, it's not going to compile my code for myself and then show me. You know, I still need to create all the connections. That's why CodePen is so handy because it will handle all of this for us. Okay, so moving forward to our navigation bar. Like I said, the nav bar is just a handful collection of links. And then there is one specific tag for whenever we want to write links. We want to create some links in our page. So the tag for adding links, it's the A or the anchor tag. It's like we're going to anchor a link to this tag. And so angle brackets A, angle brackets /A. And then here you're going to add the actual value of your link. For example, this will take you to the About Me section, for example. That's it. Now, right now, I cannot really click on anything. And the reason why is that I'm asking CodePen to, like, I'm asking HTML to add a link. And HTML is like, yeah, sure, I can do this. Where should I send the user when the user clicks? What is the reference to where I should send? So just like the image, we always need to use the source, the src attribute. With the link, we always need to use an attribute called href. So href equal sign and quotes. And now you can see that this is now clickable. I can click. It doesn't do anything. It's not taking me to anywhere, but I can click it right now. I don't think in CodePen I would be able to do this, but all you need to do is to paste the URL inside of the quotes, and this will be how you redirect it. Now, when I don't think I can do this here because it's going to crash. Like I said, this is a platform that it's doing a lot of things for us. So it's as if our page only lives here inside of this scope. So it cannot really open a new page for us. But if we want to open in a different page, we can use something. I'm going to paste this here again, or maybe have a better search. Okay. I don't know, TripAdvisor, about my state. I don't know if it's the best option. Check on. I'm going to come here and do the same thing. And if I want to open this in a separate page, have you noticed that sometimes when you click a link, it opens in the same page that you are, and sometimes it opens in a new page, in a new tab. If you want to open in a new tab in CodePen, this will work. So you could have target attribute, and you can set it to underscore blank. If it opens the link, there are some pages that it's going to open that it will be able to. It depends on the page. Google, I know it won't work. Some of the links might work, some of them might not. But this is the compiler of CodePen. So to avoid this, I'm just going to add this attribute here, the target attribute, and set to underscore blank. And if I click, this will open on a new tab. So regardless of whatever link that you add, it's going to open in a new one. Happy days. So you can also add this. There is a really, really cool resource that I like. It's W3 School. HTML. I'm going to share this with you. W3 School, it's a really, really nice resource that you can take a look. Oh, we have questions. Is the near dog type HTML? It's the near HTML equivalent of C using system text, using system command line, using system. Yeah, C# can be a bit bold. Like it can be like robust language. Let's call it robust, okay? Okay, let me paste this. Yeah. Here in W3 School, actually, if you want to take a look about what Donna is actually saying is about C#, it's a programming language. But W3 School has resources on many different things like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, SQL, if you want to take a look about it as well, and so on. So here you have a lot of things. You can use this, you can read a bit about this. You can go, for example, I'm going to give you some homework so you can take a look at this. And you can even go to the, let's see if we have link. No. Zoom things on top of it. I'm going to search link HTML. You can search it here. There you go. No. I mean, here, links. This is the syntax, and then you can read a bit more about it. And there's the target attribute. It specifies where to open the link document. The blank opens the document in a new window or a tab, and then you can have other options here. But if you want to read more about any of the tags, you can come here, you can take a look, and it's a really, really good. How do you link to a section on your page? I can also show you this. Now, let's create another link. So when I try to reference one of my subheadings in the A tag, I got a 404 error. How do I fix this? I'm not going to go into the parent frame because I would need to explain what the frame tag is. So it's just, I will need to explain inheritance. I'm not going to go there, Alexandra, just yet, because it might be a bit too much for the first day. But we can discuss this afterwards. But it's related to how the tags are, that we have one tag inside of the other, and so on and so forth. One thing at a time. Let me finish this. I'm going to talk about the 404 error, and I'm going to answer how do I link to a section on my project, and how do you share CodePen, because I'm going to share my project with you. So give me a second. Okay, I want to create a bit more links here. So let's imagine that I have another one called, this is about BH, which is my city. Anouk, give me a second. Now imagine that I have another one, another link to the About Me section. About Me section, for example. And ideally, what we would have here, we still need the href attribute. We always need the href attribute. So About Me, I need to give the space here. Now this is clickable as well. And if you want to reference a specific page on a specific section on your project, you can go to the section that you want to give something. And I'm going to give an ID to my About Me section. I'm going to give an ID called About-Me. Okay, this is my ID. And the reference of my link is, please take the user when it clicks to the section with the ID. So I need to use a hash. About Me. I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, okay? But if it's an ID, you need the hash. Trust me for now. I will explain it tomorrow. And now when I click, you are redirected to this section with that given ID. This is how you redirect. Now, Charlotte, I think that when you got the reference, this could be it. If you remove it and refresh, save it first, remove it, and then the redirection, it will work. Okay. Now, I'm going to save this. Maybe let me do one thing. This is a very, very important skill that every developer needs. Copy and paste. Very, very important skill. I'm just going to say that, I don't know, the other one should be projects. And I'm going to remove this. I don't want to take to the About Me section. And contact. We do copy and paste a lot of things, and then we just tweak to make it look how we want, to make it to be nicer. Now I have my navigation bar. This is how the code would look like with just HTML. We haven't styled anything yet. We will do this, but we haven't yet. Now, if you want to share, you can save. I'm going to change code challenge day 1. I can save this, and then you just need, after saving, if you're logged in, all you need to do is to share the link. So I just share the link with you. You can take a look at my code and play around with it. Now, the last thing that I want to show you today is, let me think. I can just do, I'm just going to do one quick thing on CSS, just so you can have an idea. I'm going to grab the container with the ID about me. So again, if it's ID, it's a hash, about dash me, curly braces. I'm going to talk about all this tomorrow, and I'm going to do text dash align center. And with just one line, every single thing that it's related to my about me, the image, the H1, the H2, and the paragraph got centralized on my page. I'm going to change this to be like this. You can change the view just clicking here, but then I think it would be better for you to see. But there you go. With one single thing, I centralize, because I selected the entire container, I centralize everything. I'm going to focus on this tomorrow. I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. Is the about me supposed to work or not yet? It is working. The problem is right now, let me change to this view, because right now, if there's no scroll, it's not going to change, because you see, when you click on the about me, it's just going to scroll a bit. But if your section is way below, it will scroll more. But because right now it's everything very small in our project, it's kind of hard to see. In this view here, it doesn't work, but it is working already. So make sure that you have the hash, and make sure you don't have space in the about me. If yours is not working, double check those things. Let me know if it works, Maria. That's the code for today. Let me see if there's any question that I haven't answered. Okay. No, I don't. Any question? Cool. So will you touch on page and mobile view later? I'm going to talk about mobile view on day 3. It works. Cool, Maria. I'm going to talk about mobile view on day 3. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about CSS and style the page as it is. Somehow I ended up with everything hyperlinked, and I have no idea why. Check your brackets. Yes. Good. Look, this is my dream. Like, you are an amazing group. This is what I'm talking about. We in this industry, we do help each other. It's sometimes, maybe it's some problem that you faced before, so you might help someone with it. Maybe you already forgot one bracket, and then that one brace, and that make it everything being a link. So please share your code. Share it with everyone, like on Slack channel, so we can discuss, or if you have any question. And I actually have a homework for you, apart from finishing this. You can paste your code here, and I can take a look. Paste your code on the chat or on Slack as well. If you come here, you can click here. This is a code block. So you paste your code here, and we can take a look. Now, my task to you, apart from finishing, and again, you can use my code as a reference. I don't mind. I already shared the link with you, so you have it. So just tailored to look like you, like talk about your city, actually write something about you. And you could also, for example, create another section here with a list, which is a different element, but you can take a look at here. Lists. You can come here on the HTML list, and then create a list of your favorite places after the about me. How do I get in the Slack? You probably received the invitation on the email that you had to join. I can also share this link here again for the Slack. No, sorry, I shared the wrong thing. Sorry. Give me a second. Wait. Copy, paste, this one. Okay. Please drop the recording soon after this finishes. Can't wait to watch it. You're probably going to receive the recording tomorrow morning. So not today, because it needs to compile and everything. Can you send the homework directions in an email? I'm going to post it on Slack, but the email, it's already prepared to be triggered. So I'm going to post it on Slack. Let me know if the link that I just shared works for you so you can join on Slack. Now, my homework is just this. You need to do the same thing that I did. Plus, this is an optional. Add a list after the about me with your favorite places on your city, or your favorite things to do, or whatever really you want to share about your city, but in a list. So you would need to take a look at the resources, understand how it works, and then implement on your code. Can you share this Slack channel link? I just did. Is this one the message that I just sent on the chat? Let me know if it works. Tell me if you can click and then see it. More questions. Tell me more. Sorry, what was the second task? The first task, do the same thing that I did. Okay, have your code ready, have your HTML ready. You can use my code as a reference. I'm going to share my code also on Slack. And as an optional task, add a list after the about me. Add a section with a list of your favorite places, favorite things to do in your city. Here in the W3 school, in the cool, good. I'm glad that they were on Slack. Happy days. Go to W3 school, for example, and take a look at how to create a list, and then implement this on your code. This is something that I haven't done. I haven't showed you how to do it, but I'm giving you the resources. And here you have an example, the explanation, and everything that you need in order to implement this as an extra section on your code. So the tasks are these two. You have the code, the HTML code prepared for tomorrow, so we can add the CSS on top of it. Save, post it on Slack on the 3-day code challenge channel. This one here. Cool. We already have things coming up. That's nice. This is Chantal. Are you still having the problem? You are missing the closing tag here in the projects. So you see, you're missing, I mean, it's missing, I guess you want to close it after this. This probably should be something like something like this. Projects. Let me know if it fixed, Chantal. I can write down the code here for you. There you go. So you can have it as a reference. More questions? Cool. This is a big one. Okay, what is this? Do you have an error? Robert, let me know if you have an error. Okay. This is really good. I tried to copy and paste. I don't understand how to call back the separate divs and classes. Are we covering that later? Yes, we are covering this tomorrow. I tried to copy paste the link for the CodePen. Okay, cool. No problems. Nice, good to know, Robert. You just need to save first the thing. Make sure you're logged in. So then you copy the URL, and that's it. And then you can share. Control-C, or you can right-click and copy. But make sure you are logged in, and then you save. More questions? Okay, so if no more questions, we'll see you tomorrow. It was very nice meeting you. How can I share? Sorry, I had a small gap. Just make sure you are logged in. you save, and then you copy the URL, the URL from the page. This is how you save. I will see you tomorrow. Please feel free to use the Slack channel if you have any question. And also, if you see someone that has a question, feel free to help them as well. So we can always be like supporting each other. This is how this community work. And that's it. I hope you had fun. I'm very happy to be here with you, and you're a very engaging group. I hope you'll be ready for tomorrow. This is going to look a lot nicer tomorrow. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.